Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be talking about chimerism in humans, and what gave me the idea to talk about this was actually watching a rerun of CSI. So, what is a chimera? In mythology, it is defined as a monster that's made up of different animal parts. So, this monster has a head of a lion, the body of a serpent, and the limbs of a goat. And in science, it has a kind of different definition. It's when a person has multiple sets of DNA. And it's a pretty rare condition. There are two main types of chimerism that are found in humans: microchimerism and tetragrammatic chimerism. Microchimerism is when only a small portion of the body has different DNA from the rest. So this normally occurs in the maternal-fetal exchange, or transplants or transfusions between twins. And what happens normally in the body is you have target cells that will attack any foreign substance or DNA, and this is why a lot of the times transplants fail. But in microchimerism, foreign cells are actually allowed to exist within the body if the DNA is close enough, like with that of twins. In the second type of chimerism, tetragrammatic, it occurs when two or more zygotes fuse together in the womb. So basically you have what is supposed to be twins, but the zygotes actually fuse together, and instead of getting two people, you get one person with two sets of DNA. Or it could happen multiple times, like with triplets, or so it results in a single person with more than one set of DNA. Now, chimerism doesn't really have a lot of physical indicators. Like, you can't really tell looking at someone whether they're a chimera or not. But some of the things that could be a physical indicator are things like patchy colored skin and hair, different colored eyes, or both male and female genitalia. But it could also be a number of different things too. So if you have two different color eyes, you're not automatically a chimera. It's just something that could be an indicator. And also, because it's not something that's widely tested for, it makes it hard to determine statistics on how many chimeras there are. Right now, there are two opposing theories. One is it causes autoimmune diseases like type 1 diabetes or lupus. And basically what happens in autoimmune diseases is your body attacks itself. And they think that having two different sets of DNA, your body is confused on which one's the right one. So it will just attack your own cells. Another theory is a little bit more positive, and it says that if you're a chimera, you have an improved ability to self-repair, and you're more tolerant to transplants. So it make it more easy for you to receive a transplant. But there are studies that support both theories. I want to talk about some famous cases that involve chimeras. One is Carol Keegan, and she needed a kidney transplant, and so she had 3 sons, and all of them went to go test to see if they could give her a kidney. And 2 came back and were negative, like she never gave birth to him, and 1 was a match. But it's strange because she knew she gave birth to him, and she knew that she was their birth mother. But like the DNA was coming back as she wasn't the mom. They eventually found DNA that matched her 2 other sons in her thyroid. But needless to say, she still got her organ transplant from the one who was like a correct match right away. but she could have received an organ transplant from any of her sons. The second case is a little bit more negative, and that's of Lydia Fairchild. She was basically going and applying for some sort of government assistance, and what you had to do was give DNA, basically do a DNA test so that you just prove that your children were your own. And so the DNA test came up negative, like she wasn't the birth mother. And so the courts basically said, we're going to take your children away. And so she, of course, fought it. And this lasted for years and years. And eventually, one of the doctors had read the case on Karen Keegan and kind of proposed the idea that she could have been a chimera. And so they ended up testing her different organs of her body to match DNA with her children's, and they eventually found DNA in her cervix that matched her children's, so everything worked out, but I can imagine that would be really stressful. So as you can see, there's like a lot of pros and cons to this. Some of the positives include increased odds of receiving an organ transplant and increased histocompatibility so the organ won't reject. Some negatives include DNA testing is no longer 100%, which could be an issue in cases like in the CSI episode I was watching, where the person who committed the crime's DNA wasn't at the scene, and they thought it was his twin brother. But and also the negatives could be possibility of autoimmune diseases. So what does this mean for the future of medicine and science? Basically, because we understand chimeras, we can use that to improve genetic engineering, use animal-human hybrids for insight on diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. We can engineer stem cells, make it so more organ transplants are accepted. But there's also a lot of moral implications that go along with this that we need to think about in the future. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing everyone's opinions on my speech. Thanks.